On November 9, 2025, Oxon Hill, Maryland, was quiet, almost eerily so. The streets, usually filled with the distant hum of cars and the occasional laughter from nearby homes, were silent. Streetlights cast long shadows across empty sidewalks, and the only movement was the gentle sway of trees in the cool autumn breeze. For most residents, it was just another peaceful Sunday night, a time to unwind and prepare for the week ahead. But beneath this calm exterior, fate was quietly setting the stage for a night that would change lives forever. Suddenly, the tranquility was shattered by a sound that echoed through the neighborhood, the piercing screech of tires desperately trying to grip the road, followed by the sickening crunch of metal colliding at high speed. In an instant, the serenity of the night was replaced by chaos and confusion. Two vehicles traveling in opposite directions collided head-on with devastating force. What had been a routine drive home for both drivers became a nightmare in the blink of an eye. The impact sent debris flying across the asphalt, and the sound of the crash reverberated through the quiet streets, drawing startled residents from their homes. According to witnesses, one driver was following the rules of the road, moving cautiously through the intersection. The other, however, made a split-second catastrophic decision, veering sharply into oncoming traffic, perhaps distracted or impaired, forever altering the course of the night. The force of the collision was brutal, crumpling the front ends of both vehicles like paper and pinning the occupants inside. Glass shattered, airbags deployed, and the twisted metal bore silent witness to the violence of the impact. For those inside, every second felt like an eternity. Within moments, porch lights flickered on as neighbors rushed outside, drawn by the noise and the flashing lights. They found a scene of devastation. One driver lay critically injured, barely conscious, while the other, in a shocking turn, stumbled from the wreckage and disappeared into the darkness, leaving chaos behind. The hit and run triggered a frantic manhunt. Police officers, flashlights in hand, scoured the area, searching for any sign of the fleeing driver. The community, still reeling from the shock, gathered near the scene, their faces illuminated by the red and blue glow of emergency lights. Fear and disbelief rippled through the crowd as they tried to make sense of what had just happened. First responders arrived quickly, but the scene they faced was grim. A mangled car sat in the middle of the road, its frame twisted and unrecognizable. Inside, a woman fought for her life, her injuries severe and her fate uncertain. Paramedics worked with urgency, stabilizing her and preparing her for transport to the hospital. Emergency crews used every tool at their disposal, prying open doors and cutting through metal to free the trapped victim. Every second counted as they raced against time, their faces set with determination and worry. The air was thick with tension, hope, and the relentless sound of sirens. The crash was a stark, sobering reminder of how quickly life can change, how a single reckless act can ripple outward, affecting not just those involved, but an entire community. In the aftermath, questions hung heavy in the air. Who was the driver who fled? Would the injured woman survive? And how could such a tragedy happen on such an ordinary night? As the night wore on and the adrenaline faded, the search for the missing driver continued. Police combed the darkened streets, determined to bring answers and justice to a shaken neighborhood. For Oxon Hill, the events of that night would not soon be forgotten. A quiet evening, forever marked by tragedy and the hope for accountability. Investigators soon identified the fleeing driver, Kevin Alexis Mendez-Ortiz. A Honduran national, Mendez-Ortiz was in the U.S. illegally, complicating the case. His immigration status drew federal attention, turning a local crime into a national issue. The search for him became a multi-agency effort as he vanished into the shadows. Without a license or official address, tracking him was a challenge. The case ignited debate about immigration enforcement and public safety. Now justice depended on finding a man who had every reason to disappear. The victim, a U.S. citizen, suffered devastating injuries in the crash. Her back, collarbone, wrist, and ribs were broken. Her diaphragm ruptured, lung collapsed. Internal injuries threatened her long-term health, and a concussion clouded her recovery. Her family kept vigil, facing uncertainty and heartbreak. The emotional and financial toll was immense. The driver's flight only deepened their pain and anger. They wanted answers and justice. This was more than an accident. It was a life upended. The family's ordeal had just begun. The crash site told a story of violence and recklessness. Skid marks, debris, and mangled metal revealed a driver out of control. Evidence showed Mendez Ortiz crossed the center line at unsafe speed. His decision to flee compounded the tragedy, leaving the victim abandoned. The community was shaken, their sense of safety shattered. Residents questioned how such disregard for life could exist among them. For the victim's family, the devastation was both physical and emotional. The search for the driver became a quest for accountability. Mendez Ortiz's story began at the southern border. He entered the U.S. illegally near Hidalgo, Texas in 2022, and was apprehended by Border Patrol. Released with a notice to appear in court, he was allowed to stay pending a hearing. Critics call this catch and release, a policy under scrutiny after the crash. Mendez Ortiz traveled to Maryland, where tragedy struck. For the victim's family, his release was a bitter pill, fueling anger and frustration. The case exposed the real-world consequences of immigration policy. Police quickly cited Mendez Ortiz for a string of violations. He lacked a license and registration and wasn't authorized to drive. He was charged with multiple hit-and-run offenses and failing to provide insurance. His actions showed a pattern of recklessness and evasion. Unsafe lane changes, speeding, and ignoring traffic controls led to disaster. Each violation painted a picture of negligence. Law enforcement built a strong case, determined to hold him accountable. The charges went far beyond a simple mistake. With his identity finally revealed to the public, the manhunt for Mendez Ortiz escalated rapidly, transforming the quiet neighborhoods of Oxon Hill into the center of a high-stakes search. The sense of urgency was palpable, as law enforcement agencies mobilized every available resource to track down the fugitive. Residents watched anxiously as patrol cars cruised the streets, their flashing lights cutting through the darkness, signaling that the hunt was on. Local police and ICE agents quickly joined forces, holding late-night briefings and coordinating their efforts. The search for Mendez Ortiz became a top priority, with officers working overtime and investigators following up on every possible lead. The collaboration between agencies was unprecedented, reflecting the seriousness of the case and the determination to bring the suspect to justice. Tracking an undocumented fugitive proved to be a daunting challenge. Mendez Ortiz was careful, moving quietly through the city and leaving almost no trace behind. The empty alleyways and deserted streets at night became a symbol of the tense, uncertain atmosphere that gripped the community. Officers searched abandoned buildings, checked alleyways, and canvassed neighborhoods, but he always seemed one step ahead. Investigators relied heavily on informants and surveillance footage, combing through hours of video and interviewing anyone who might have seen or heard something. In Oxon Hill, detectives knocked on doors, hoping for a tip that would break the case open. Every piece of information, no matter how small, was scrutinized for clues that could lead to his capture. As the days turned into weeks, Mendez Ortiz continued to evade capture. The victim's family waited anxiously at home, watching the calendar pages flip by, each day without answers feeling longer than the last. Their hope for justice was tested by the slow passage of time, and the uncertainty weighed heavily on their hearts. Meanwhile, the community's anxiety grew with every passing day. Neighbors gathered outside, sharing updates and rumors, while families watched the news, hoping for any sign of progress. The fear that Mendez Ortiz might never be found cast a shadow over the neighborhood, and trust in the safety of their streets was shaken. Then a breakthrough came. On the night of November 25th, ICE agents received a credible tip about Mendez Ortiz's whereabouts. Acting swiftly, they coordinated with local police and moved in on an apartment complex, determined not to let this opportunity slip away. The operation was tense, but every detail had been planned with precision. The arrest itself was swift and without incident. Officers surrounded the building, and within minutes Mendez Ortiz was in custody. There was a collective sigh of relief as news of his capture spread. After weeks of searching, the fugitive was finally caught. His time on the run had come to an end. Escorted in handcuffs into a federal building, Mendez Ortiz now faced the consequences of his actions. For law enforcement, it was a hard-won victory, the result of tireless work and unwavering commitment. Now, the legal process would begin. Mendez Ortiz would face charges not only for the crash that had devastated a family, but also for violating immigration laws. The wheels of justice turned slowly, but for the first time, there was hope that accountability would be served. The arrest brought a sense of relief to the victim's family and the wider community. Yet the pain and loss they had endured could not be undone. The scars left by the tragedy would remain, even as the search for justice moved forward. In the days that followed, the community gathered for vigils, lighting candles and sharing stories. There was a renewed sense of hope, a belief that closure was finally within reach. People came together, supporting one another and looking ahead to the next chapter. Justice at last seemed possible. The long and difficult search for Mendez Ortiz had ended, but the journey toward healing and resolution was just beginning. After the arrest, ICE officials addressed the public, stepping forward to share their perspective on the incident and its broader implications. Their statements were delivered with a sense of urgency, underscoring the gravity of the situation and the agency's commitment to public safety. Acting Field Office Director Jeremy Bacon took the lead, calling the case a stark warning to communities everywhere. He emphasized that this was not just an isolated event, but a reminder of the potential consequences when immigration laws are not enforced. Bacon drew a direct connection between the tragic crash and the ongoing challenges posed by illegal immigration. He explained that ICE's mission is not only to enforce the law, but to actively protect neighborhoods from preventable harm. According to Bacon, every enforcement action is taken with the safety of the community in mind. He went on to highlight the suffering endured by the victim and their family, describing it as a heartbreaking outcome that could have been avoided. Bacon stressed that the pain and loss experienced were the direct result of reckless actions by someone who, he said, should not have been in the country. The agency framed the arrest as part of a broader, ongoing effort to uphold public safety and maintain order. ICE officials reiterated that their work is focused on preventing future tragedies and ensuring that laws are respected. They described their role as essential in keeping communities secure and supporting local law enforcement partners. As news of the case spread, it quickly became a symbol in the national debate over immigration enforcement. The incident sparked passionate discussions among policymakers, activists, and everyday citizens, highlighting the deep divisions and strong emotions surrounding the issue. ICE officials argued that strong, decisive measures are necessary to prevent similar tragedies in the future. They called for continued vigilance and cooperation between federal, state, and local agencies, insisting that only through unified action can communities be truly protected. The message from ICE was clear. Enforcing the law is not just a matter of policy, but a vital step in saving lives and preserving the well-being of every community. Their statement served as both a warning and a call to action, urging everyone to recognize the importance of public safety in the ongoing immigration debate. The arrest brought relief, but not closure. The victim faced a long road to recovery, her life forever changed. The community questioned how the system failed to prevent the tragedy. The case exposed flaws in immigration policy and law enforcement coordination. Residents demanded better tracking and accountability for those released pending hearings. The story became a call for reform, so others wouldn't suffer the same fate. One man faced justice, but the scars remained, the hope that lessons would be learned and change would follow.